no matter what form people worship, they're all still worshipping the one. So somebody asked me, I can't remember whether it was Amazonian tribes or the people in the Arctic. They've never heard of the Bhagavad Gita, or they've never heard of Krishna or something. We're like, what happens to them? It's all one. So no matter how you express that divinity, it all reaches the same place. And I think that's one of the great, great gifts of this philosophy to the world, that we should have a pluralistic outlook and see divinity in all, because often Israeli, Palestinian, same people, Indian, Pakistani, same people, but different philosophy. But if we all had the view that, hey, your route leads to the same place and my route leads to the same place, and I think if you have that view, as here in the Gita it says, people go different routes, but eventually all leads to the one. So lovely to see you all. Ram Ram. We'll make a start. This week's Yajna, again, dedicating it to those who lost their lives in the Air India crash. Last week was a really horrendous situation, but also to those who are affected in Israel and in Iran by the ongoing madness that seems to want to play out in Kali Yuga. We're making our way through the Gita, but before we do, I just wanted to share something about some of the books that I've worked on, that I've had the fortune of working on, and if anybody does want a copy of any of them, please to reach out to us. They're on hanumandas.com, or you can write to me at hanumandas@godharmic.com. The first one is this one. The most recent one is this, on the Hanuman Chalisa, and it's an exploration of the Chalisa with Dr. Nicholas Sutton, with the foreword of Krishna Das. I'm really proud of this book because there wasn't enough on the Chalisa out there in the world. So I think that this is a good offering for people who want to explore the Chalisa in more detail. There's this book on Ahimsa, which we produced with Go Dharmic, and it has Dr. Nicholas Sutton, Satish Kumar, Manka Gandhi, Arun Gandhi, the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, Gauranga Das, Sadhguru, Peter Singha, Krishna Das, like lots of people rallying together and speaking for non-violence and ahimsa. So we really wanted to connect the idea of ahimsa, which has been used so well for civil rights work in the last century, but not applied enough for environmental work. So we really feel there's a huge application at Go Dharmic of ahimsa into environmental action. And so this is a book that we produced. Then another one is The Power of Dharma. This was the first book that we produced. And it's on this idea, the universal idea of Dharma as a principle. And finally, I couldn't actually find the most recent edition of it, but I found this one on the desk, which we call The Eternal Path. It's also known as Pearls of Wisdom from Hinduism. And in this book, there's 72 verses and selections from various texts, which, what the whole idea that I would have really liked is for people to memorize many of the selections in here, because they're so beautiful and so powerful. And just a word of note on what we hope that will be coming out by the end of this year, hopefully on the passing day of Ram Dass's, when he left the body, we'll have a book, Be Yourself, which will be a wonderful exploration of the Upanishads, Kena, Ishavasya, and Mandukya, that I hope some of you will enjoy. So just something to look out for. Okay, so let's go into the Gita. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhanaktu Saha Viryam Kadavavahe Tejasvima Patitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm going to push back a little bit to verse 13 of chapter 8. And we had a very beautiful session last week on love, but also on death. And I'm really thankful to everybody who spoke so honestly and spoke so beautifully about what they go through, and emotions that have affected us all, because death is the one thing that will have us all. We all will be affected by it. We'll all lose loved ones throughout our life. We've already lost loved ones, and we have to come to terms with it. And I feel that the Gita is very honest about it and very open about it, and we can learn to love death as we love everything and everyone. We can embrace it as a part of beauty as well, that it makes way for the new, and that it is a continuing aspect of the existence that we find ourselves in. O Partha, I am easily attained by the yogi who is ever disciplined and who steadily remembers me with an open heart. Those great ones who have attained the supreme perfection and who have achieved me no longer take birth. They transcend the cycle of rebirth, the cycle of impermanence and suffering. From this region of the earth to the region of Brahma, all these worlds are places of repeated birth and death. But having once come to me, O Arjuna, one need never take birth again. Krishna here in the Gita is talking about heavens. So we might do some good stuff in our life, and then maybe we look to achieve a state of heaven, a Brahma world, or kind of another realm of reward. But there's a realm beyond that, which is the transcendent realm, where you're one with God, and there is no coming back there. You're liberated being, and that's what's really being discussed here. This is super interesting because 500 years ago, people thought the world was flat and the earth was just created very recently, maybe within 1,000 years. But the cycles of time described in these ancient texts blow my mind. Just like when you may have seen those videos of which show like a Google Earth view of the Earth, and then it zooms out a little bit and shows the town and then the city and then the country and then the Earth, and you can't no longer see that small zoomed in thing, and then it goes out even further and sees the planets, and then the Milky Way galaxy, and then thousands, I think there's trillions of galaxies in the observable side that we can understand, and that blows us away. Similarly, this verse in the Gita, this part here in chapter 8, blows my mind in that way. Those who know day and night understand that a day of Brahma, by human calculation, is 1,000 yugas in duration, and that Brahma night similarly lasts 1,000 yugas. Okay, so how long is this? What is this time that we're talking about? Like, just to give some context to it. Okay, so we have these 4 yugas described in. Okay, let's go back to chapter 4:8. We spoke about it in chapter 4. Yeah. So in chapter 4, verse 8, we have this famous verse, 4:7 and 4:8. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam hi dharmasya tada atmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dharma sanstaya partaya sambhavami yuge yuge. For the protection of the good and the destruction of those who do evil, I establish dharma, and I come age after age, yuge yuge, again and again. I keep coming. Okay, so how long are these things? There are 4 ages known as yugas. Together, a cycle of 4 yugas is known as a Mahayuga, or a great cycle. 1,000 Mahayugas makes a kalpa, which is 1 day of Brahma. Similarly, 1 night of Brahma is 1 kalpa in duration. So if Brahma lives for 100 years, 1 Mahayuga of Brahma is said to be 4,320,000 earthly years in duration. We're talking about long time periods. 4,320,000 earthly years in duration. The lifetime of Brahma, I mean, maybe some of you mathematicians out there, I have a first class degree in mathematics, and I get boggled. I can't calculate what the age of Brahma is. Okay. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all things manifest, coming forth from the great unmanifest. Avyakta, the state of the primordial matter, called Pradhana. O son of Pritha, repeatedly the same host of beings is brought forth at the beginning of Brahma's day and the dissolution of Brahma's night. Beyond this, however, there is another eternal and imperceptible state of existence that is beyond even the great unmanifest, which, when all beings are destroyed, itself is never destroyed. They call the imperceptible state, that which is beyond words, that which is beyond our understanding, goes, beyond what this mind can even conceive. They call this imperceptible and indestructible realm the most distant destination. So as we watch that image zooming out from planet to planet, but what's that? That's beyond even that, beyond the galaxies, beyond the stars, beyond the moon, beyond all of that. What's underneath? What's hidden within? This is my supreme abode, and having once gone there, one never returns. This is God's home. Ya sasarveshu bhuteshu nasyastu na vinyasti. When all living beings are destroyed, it's never destroyed. That which is when all of us go, when these earthly bodies are gone, that thing is always there. God is always there. Divinity is always there. Oh Partha, oh my dear friend, this is the supreme Purusha. This is the supreme divinity, the supreme being that can only be attained by unalloyed devotion. Bhaktya ananyaya, by love. This is one of the first where we're getting to the juice of the Gita now. Like, we've gone through various yogas and karma yoga and life, but how do we attain God? Here's the first sign: love, devotion. So we will keep moving towards love in the Gita, but here you have that beautiful line there. So he said, like, describes the planets. He's zooming out, showing you the localized existence. He's showing you heavens. He's showing you different states of consciousness and mind. But now, if you want to reach God, you have to have love. You have to have devotion. That can only be attained by unalloyed devotion, wherein all beings are situated, and by which the entire world is pervaded. There's a beautiful verse in the Isha Upanishad, which was Gandhi's favorite verse. And he said something really beautiful. He said, if all of Hinduism was destroyed, and every single book, all of these sacred texts, everything that we have was thrown away, was burnt and trashed to ashes, but this single verse of the Isha Upanishad remains, then it would respring. It would come back again. And that verse says God pervades everything. So you don't need to lust for anything. It's all God's. So don't hanker for it. Like, do your duty, do your work, live your life, love your people, be kind and generous and do your spiritual practice. We don't need to hanker for anything because God pervades it all. And ultimately living in that place of the heart, that situated place, we don't suffer, we don't grieve, because ultimately we come back to that state. God's pervading all of this. And the reason why I share that here is because Krishna is saying exactly the same words here. Okay. Yeah, the entire world is pervaded. So by love we can find God, wherein all beings are situated, and by which the entire world is pervaded. By the way, Krishna is a huge plagiarist. Like, he would fail all of his exams if he was in college, because he just lifts chunks of the Upanishads and places them in the Gita. It's all the way throughout. So yeah, he's not passing any exams for that. But the beauty of it is that on this battlefield of life, he's presenting Upanishadic ideas which are relevant to Arjuna, because the Vedas and the Upanishads are like quite philosophical and dense, and I don't know many people that ever read them or explore them or go through them, but the Gita has reached millions and it's accessible. So it is a way that you can explore these ancient texts in an accessible format. O Bull of Bharatas, I'll now speak of the different times departing yogis leave this world, either to return or not to return. So what happens to a yogi at death? Knowers of Brahman, the realized ones, so those who know Brahman, depart this world and attain Brahman during the influence of the fire deity, in the light, on an auspicious day, during the bright side of the lunar month, and during the 6 months while the sun is on the northern course. So this is Shukla Paksha. However, the yogi who departs during the influence of smoke at night, during the dark side of the lunar month, during the 6 months while the sun is on its southern course, attains the moon's light and then returns. There are two paths: the path of illumination, the path of light, and the path of darkness are considered the eternal ways of the world. By one, the yogi leaves the world never to return, and by the other, the yogi again returns. So very simply, there is a path where we become liberated, nirvana, enlightenment, and that's the end. There's no longer any more cycle of rebirth. And then there's a path where we may have continue our journey into another body, into another life, and we progress with our spiritual practice, with our karma, and with our work in the world. O Arjuna, the yogi who understands two paths is never bewildered. Therefore, in all circumstances, become a yogi. Arjuna, become a yogi. The yogi who knows whatever pious results are derived from the study of the Vedas, by the performance of ritual or sacrifice, by severe acts of penance, and by acts of charity, surpasses all of them and goes to the abode of unparalleled glory. It's interesting, isn't it, that Krishna here mentions charity as the final and most important aspect of liberation. And it's something that we've spoken about a lot since January. But the act of giving, like when you're just giving, you feel joyous, you feel light, you feel happy. When you're serving others, you relieve that self consumption. And Krishna here directly mentions that. Charity surpasses them all and goes to the abode of unparalleled glory. We think about that a lot, and we think about a realized being. A realized being seeing all beings within their self and and their self in all beings. So how can they not work for the suffering of others? How can they not work to improve the planet? Or how can they not work in the world in such a way that helps all living beings seek comfort? Whether that's billions of beautiful animals that are on this planet that get slaughtered, and people who work for that to relieve their suffering, or whether it's to be a voice for peace, or to increase love and compassion in any way, to make sure that, if you're going towards the shops and somebody is starving or hungry or going through a difficult time, then you don't just kind of kick that homeless person as they're walking past, or completely ignore them, even if it's just sending them some love. Even if it's not the homeless, maybe you're walking across London Bridge and there's a cyclist who drives by, and they sneeze while on the bike. Maybe you could quickly shout, "Bless you," and send them some love in that way. So it doesn't have to be, hugely charitable. Like in that way, it can all just be a part of life, to be extremely compassionate and loving to people around you, and just carry love as a way of being. Okay, we finished 8 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. On the 21st of June, Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government worked really hard with the UN and established International Yoga Day. And we here in the Bhagavad Gita are going to explore the 9th yoga that we're exploring is Raja Yoga, imperial knowledge, the king's knowledge, the king of all yogas, the knowledge that will be shared in this chapter. So there's so many different types of yoga that are there in the world. And when I feel most people are practicing International Yoga Day, or the UN, or all the countries around the world that are practicing it, they're really just thinking about asana, predominantly. Like most people will say yoga, I say, okay, that's the stretching, that's the positions, that's the thing. Yoga is so much more expansive than that, so much more than that. I mean, the first teaching of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which means yoga is the calming of the movements of the mind. So we see something that we like to eat, our mind goes directly towards that thing. We see a person that we like, our mind goes towards that thing, or something that we want, or whatever it may be. I don't know why so many of my references are related to food. Maybe because I'm a bit of a foodie. That state of yoga is when we're calming the mind to live from the heart and connect with God. That's it. That's yoga. So whether that's through physical practice, whether that's from charitable endeavor, whether it's from scriptural study or yajna or practice, then all of these various sadhanas help us to enter into a state of yoga. Okay. My dear Arjuna, chapter 9. You are without envy, which Krishna has told us is a bit of a blocker towards yoga in earlier chapters. I shall now declare the most secret wisdom. Guyatatmam. Guyatatmam means like the innermost was Atma is obviously our indwelling soul, our heart. He's telling the indwelling knowledge, the innermost knowledge, the secret stuff. I shall now declare to you that secret most wisdom, along with what is most practical. So I'm telling you the real spiritual woo-woo, difficult thing to understand, but I'm also telling you practically how to understand that. Wisdom, along with that which is most practical. Jnanam vijnanam sahitatam. It's a very interesting saying that I'm teaching you something very spiritual, but I'm also teaching you in a practical way. Gandhi also used the word practical idealism. Like, I want love for all beings. I want non-violence, but I want to do it in a practical way here and now in the world. Not only just from some magic mantra or from some special incense that I need to burn to ward away evil spirits. Practical in the world, and making sure that people who are hungry get fed, or reducing violence to those who are suffering. That is practical, but idealism, working in a way that is spiritual and for all beings. Okay, so I'm going to reveal this wisdom to you, Arjuna, because you don't carry that envy. Knowing this, you shall overcome all that is inauspicious. So this is it. We're going to get the wisdom now. We're going to get the wisdom of Raja Yoga. Such learning is the imperial wisdom, the Raja Yoga, and is a supreme mystery. Raja Guhyam. It is the most pure knowledge, directly perceived and established. Dharmayam sa sukham. Established in Dharma, it is everlasting and joy to perform. O scorcher of enemies, those who have no faith in these teachings cannot attain me. So return to this path of repeated birth and death. In my unmanifest form. Okay, so in verse 3, Krishna is saying, if you don't have some faith, then it's very difficult to practice this. You need to lean into it. It's kind of like when you're first learning to swim and you're in the pool. Unless you lie forward and you kind of put your head into the water and then you start pushing your arms, you can't just keep putting your leg forward to keep balance. So there is an element of trust, an element of surrender, an element of devotion that is required to lean into this. And for those who can achieve liberation from yoga, they don't return. In my unmanifest form, I pervade the entire universe. All beings rest in me, and I do not rest in them. And yet, beings do not rest in me. Behold the mystical wonder. It's very kind of interesting that Krishna is saying, yes, I'm in them, but I'm not in them. They're in me, but they're not in me. It's kind of like that mystical thing that we spoke about in the Upanishads. It's saying it's beyond understanding how we're connected to God. How that connection is just not for the words to understand. Matastani sarva bhutani na chaham tesva asvatiha. I am, behold my mystic wonder. I am both the cause and the support of all beings, but yet I am not touched by them. Okay, another quotation for the wall. As the mighty wind forever blows in the sky, so all beings eternally rest in me. Try to understand this. As the mighty wind forever blows in the sky, so all beings eternally rest in me. Try to understand this. That's our relationship with God. We are the wind in the sky. And I really love that because it's Hanuman, isn't it? Like the wind. So when we think about the wind or the divinity that exists within us, but it's in the sky of God. It's in that divinity. So there's a beautiful part where Ram asks Hanuman, "Who are you, monkey?" And Hanuman responds, "When I don't know myself, I serve you. But when I know myself, I am you." There is no difference between us. We are completely one. Because when Hanuman opens his heart, all you can see is Ram. All you can see is Sita and Ram. And I was reading something actually yesterday from the Ramcharitmanas, as you do. And let's see, what did we say? I copied these beautiful verses from the Ramcharitmanas yesterday. In this entire universe, there is nothing other than Sita and Ram. In this entire universe, there is nothing other than Sita Ram. All it is a kingdom of God and of love. As the mighty wind forever blows in the sky, so all beings eternally rest in me. Try to understand this. At the end of time, all beings enter into my nature. Then at the beginning of time, I again send forth all of creation. Through the agency of my material nature, my material energy, which is Prakriti, through the created world, I repeatedly send forth living beings who are under this control of Maya and matter. O conqueror of wealth, I am never bound by these actions, for I am seated as though neutral, unattached to all things. I am the overseer of the material nature, which brings forth moving and non-moving beings. This entire universe forever moves with material nature as its cause. It's very interesting that Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. He's standing right next to him, but he's also saying that I am the underpinning aspect of this entire universe. So here is a being standing in front of Arjuna on the chariot, on a battlefield, but he's describing that his innermost being is this entire universe. Because I have assumed this human-like form, fools scorn me, not understanding my supreme nature as the Lord of all beings. It's the avatar. Those whose hopes are baffled, whose actions are fruitless, and whose learning is wasted, who all lack discrimination, take shelter of a malevolent and deluding nature. Quality of tamas, tamaguna. Those who are baffled in the world, who are not accepting spiritual understanding, they look for tamasic things. They have an understanding of the world which leads more towards darkness or laziness or consumption, or of a nature that will hide spiritual reality, ignorance. Very interesting that really the Gita doesn't really talk of sin. It only talks of ignorance. So we only do things, even the worst criminals, out of ignorance, not out of sin. Because we just don't understand that it's all love and it's all God. And so we do stupid things. Those whose hopes are baffled, whose actions are fruitless, and whose learning is wasted, who all lack discrimination, take shelter of a malevolent and deluding nature. But those great souls, O Partha, take shelter in divinity and worship me with undistracted minds. They know me as the inexhaustible source of all beings. Ever devoted, ever loving, and always praising me. They strive with firm resolve. They offer homage to me with great love. And yet there are others who worship me through the sacrifice of knowledge. Such devoted souls see me as one, and yet diverse, with different forms and faces on all sides. In verse 15, Krishna's first saying, basically just loving God and practicing how we work. But then in verse 15, he goes on to say, but also those who worship me, but there are others who worship me in all forms. So it's not necessary that you only have to buy a specific murti or statuette of Krishna and worship in that form, or Ram or Shiva or Jesus or any living being. It can be that you see God in all beings in front of us, in everyone. So some worship me directly in that form, but others see me as the one and yet diverse, with different forms and faces on all sides. The attributes of God. Okay, here we go. It is I who am the ritual. I am the sacrifice. I am the oblation to the ancestors. It is I who am the healing herb, the sacred chant, the sacrificial butter, the fire, and the sacrificial offering. I am the father of the universe, the mother, the support, the grandfather, the object of all knowledge. I am the purifier. I am the sacred syllable Om. I am the Rig, the Sama, and Yajur Vedas. I am the goal. I am the maintainer, the Lord, the witness, the abode, the shelter. I am your friend. So beautiful. I am the origin and the dissolution. I am birth and I am death, the foundation, the reservoir, and the inexhaustible seed. I create heat. I hold back and send forth the rains. I am immortality as well as death at the same time. I am both what is true and what is not true. Those who memorize the Vedas, who drink the celestial spirits, whose evils are purified through worship, they desire the path to heavens. But upon reaching these worlds of the pious, they enjoy delights of heavens. But having enjoyed these realms of heavens, they eventually have to come back into the worlds of the mortals, where their merit has been exhausted. In this way, they would again follow religions, they will live in the world, they will fulfill their desires, and again achieve what is merely temporary. I bestow the benefits of yoga on those who perceive and constantly worship, thinking of me alone. Really, really important to understand this, that yes, there is heaven. Yes, we live a good life, we do good deeds, and there are realms where we go to. But in the philosophies of India, those are temporary realms. They're not eternal. They're not liberation. I am the enjoyer. Okay. I bestow the benefits of yoga on those who persevere and who constantly worship me, thinking of me alone. Those devotees who faithfully worship other deities through an improper understanding, in fact, worship me alone. So here we're hearing that no matter what form people worship, they're all still worshipping the one. So somebody asked me, I can't remember whether it was Amazonian tribes or Arctic, the people in the Arctic, they've never heard of the Bhagavad Gita or they've never heard of Krishna or something. We're like, what happens to them? It's all one. So no matter how you express that divinity, it all reaches the same place. And I think that's one of the great gifts of this philosophy to the world, that we should have a pluralistic outlook and see divinity in all, because often Israeli, Palestinian, same people, Indian, Pakistani, same people, but different philosophy. But if we all had the view that, hey, your route leads to the same place and my route leads to the same place, and I think if you have that view, as here in the Gita it says, people go different routes, but eventually all leads to the one. Those who are devoted to the gods go to the gods. Those who are devoted to the forefathers go to the forefathers. And those who worship spirits go to the spirits. But my devotees who love me, they come to me. I accept the offering from a devoted soul who offers to me with love. And okay, so this will be the final verse we read, but it's very beautiful. So I just want to kind of make sure that we spend a few minutes on it. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo mad bhaktaya same priya. Uh, patram Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktaya prachyate tadaham bhaktya upartam asnami prayatmanamaha. Prayatmana. I accept offerings from devotees who offer me with love and devotion a leaf, so a flower, a fruit, or even water. So when we're talking about just ritual, for a few moments, I just want to talk about an offering. So if you have a home temple, or if you have a shrine at home where you practice something in front of your sacred images or your deities, or however you choose to worship, the Gita here, the instruction is saying you can offer a leaf, which I feel in my interpretation is food, is plants. A leaf here is referring to for me, you're offering plant kingdom and not animals. So don't go after this Gita class and try to attack any innocent animals to try to offer them to God, please. My request. You can take a leaf or a plant and offer it to God. And even better, you can offer some food and then share that food with others as blessed food. So you cook that food, you make it divine into prasad, and then you serve that to others. So you're sharing your prayers and your love and your offerings with others in a very beautiful way. Okay, so a leaf, a flower, you can take a beautiful flower and offer it to God and then share it with others. Fruit, you can take a fruit, offer it in the same way, or even just some water. You can offer water to God. So we don't need to harm any innocent beings. No need for animal slaughter, animal ritual anywhere in the world. And that's not only referring to Muslim practices. Even in Nepal, there is a horrendous practice of killing innocent animals, cows, and so on, and like places all over the world where they have animal rituals, where they're offering. And I once had a beautiful South Indian teacher who said a beautiful prayer, and I'll try my best to remember it. And imagine a poor person standing in the temple. He doesn't have money for vegetables or for fruits or for water, and he says, "Oh Lord, I don't have all of these things, but as water, please just accept my tears. As uh, plants, as leaves, please accept these two palms as leaves. Accept that. As a fruit, accept this as a coconut that I bow down in front of you." And so I feel that with each one of these verses, we don't need to take them literally. It can be just us and God, our heart and divinity, just being there with our tears of love and prayers. So we'll pause on that verse because I think it is a very special verse of the Bhagavad Gita. I accept offerings from those who love me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water. Thank you, everybody. Take good care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week. Much love, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. People, dogs, all of you. Ram Ram. Bye bye.